The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is sponsored by Two Fat Lardies, Geek Nation Tours, and by you, the listener. Thank you to everyone for your most generous donations. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast, episode 216. Interview with Footsore Miniatures, with hosts Neil Shuck, Mike Hobbs, Mike Whittaker and Dave Luff, and guest Bill Thornhill from Footsore Miniatures. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. My name is Neil Shuck and I am joined by the full crew for this show. It's nice to have everybody back. So we have the Welsh wizard himself. It's Mr. Michael Hobbs.
Hello everybody. Hello Meeps.
Hello indeed, sir. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Brilliant.
Very well.
Good stuff. And we have the cake-eating troubadour.
Oh!
Which is the name I just thought of, which I thought, oh, that's almost fitting. It's Mr. Whittaker.
Oh,
hello, sir. How are you?
Good evening, ladies and gents.
Good evening. And we have the great guru himself. It's the Luffmeister. Hello, mate.
Hello, guys.
Good evening, one and all. It's been a while since we've actually been together in Radio Land times, where it was actually it's been all of 3 days, 4 days, 3 days.
Well, I didn't see Hobbsy for breakfast, so 4 days.
Yes. Although, we did spectacularly fail to actually either get a group photo or record anything with all four of us in the same room.
Again.
As
we failed to do every Operation Market Larden.
It's probably for the best, though, let's be honest.
True.
I don't know, Clarky singing would be alright, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I'm with Dave. I really am with Dave. Sorry, Clarky, but you're a lovely man, but...
Plus that Indian was a little bit loud. I mean, the Indian restaurant, not the Indian itself, who was lovely.
Oh, my doppy answer was blooming hot, I'll tell you.
We're getting a few strange looks, we were.
I'm not surprised. We were kind of the loud ones at the end of the table.
There's a few shakings of heads there were for people that had come in for a quiet evening in the curry house.
Yeah.
I was stuck in a corner. I didn't notice. I was out of the way. Oh dear. Yes. I think the best thing we can say. I know we promised that we might do a recording from Market Larden. I think the best thing we can say is that what happened in Evesham stays in Evesham.
Ooh,
or something like that.
Yeah.
It's probably best all round.
But we'll give you all the gossip a little bit later in the show.
Indeed. So on this show, what have you got in store for you? Oh, we're chatting to an old mate of Mr. Hobbs's.
Oh, it's Thornhill time.
It's Thornhill time indeed. It is. So we have in store for you a chat with Bill Thornhill of Footsore Miniatures. That is our feature presentation. But of course, because we've been doing things like UK Games Expo specials, and then we had a very long chat with Alan from White Dragon Miniatures, we really haven't had a chance to catch up with everything we've been up to. So we thought, we're all here, so let's at least catch up with what we've been doing with ourselves for the past 3 weeks. So what we'll do, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll tell you all about it.
I must get through to Sergeant Watson's position. Jenkins, cover me. Sir. Sergeant Watson, bring your men in. Withdraw. It's all right, sir. We're enjoying ourselves. What? Yes, sir. It's these here chain of command rules, sir. We're having great fun. Chain of command? That's right, sir. It's that challenging but fun blend of command and control. It gives me the freedom I want to fight the way I want to. Never had so much fun, sir. And we've cooked you some sausages. Can't be helped, sir. Me and the lads are staying put. Chain of Command World War II platoon level rules from two fat lardies. They really put you in control. And they're even better than sausages.
What have we been playing? What have we been buying? We might even have painted something. The Meeples and Miniatures crew reveal all. So, what have we been up to for the last couple of weeks? Well, as you may have guessed, if you've been following any of our blogs or us online, we've been busy, including things like most of us met up at the UK Games Expo. Although, because Mr. Whittaker didn't turn up, we had to make do with a stunt double.
Yeah, we proxied him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he did very well.
He did.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
At the point he was introduced, he almost didn't crack up.
People actually thought he was Mike Whittaker.
Yeah.
Is this Mike Whittaker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, Dave.
Other Dave.
Yes, my other mate, Dave. Yes, yes. That was yeah. Yes. So So Mr. Whittaker had yes, we had Mr. Whittaker's stunt double with us for UK Games Expo. Well, who wants to go? Who wants to go first in talking about what what they've been doing?
If we're going to do things chronologically, it probably ought to be me since I didn't go to UK Games Expo. So one of you lot.
Okay. Well, obviously we've talked quite a bit because we had 3 shows on the UK Games Expo, so we talked quite a bit about it. But I will interject and say I had an interesting text message just after Game Expo from the Welsh Wizard himself, who candidly said, "I think I've had an epiphany." So, Mr. Hobbs,
Get an ointment for that.
I did, yeah.
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 Yeah, did it hurt?
No, it was very gentle. You have to rub it on the back of your thighs.
Yeah, Mr. Love could do with some of that at the moment or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, okay, so what was your revelation, Mr. Hobbs?
That there's a great big hobby out there that I know sod all about. Basically, I mean, we've all been to lots and lots of war game shows, and we all know the manufacturers, and we all sort of know now when we go to these shows, we all know what to look for, what's going to be there, what we're going to buy. But when I went to the expo, I had no idea. It was like walking into a different hobby, and it's something that Dave mentioned when we did the catch-up show on a Saturday. There was families there, young families wandering around with their kids, playing games. There was kids, well, I say kids, people in their 20s and 30s, loads of females there. So the demographic was completely different to any war game show that I think I've ever been to. But the other thing was loads of people just sat down playing games, and all the stalls were just there showing you new stuff. And I've played a few board games over the last year or so because you guys have introduced me to that side, but it's almost like you only shown me the sort of ante-room, shall we say.
Oh, right, yeah.
And when I went to the expo, it was like I walked into the big room, and there's so much more stuff out there. And the hobby isn't greying. We're greying, and probably our wargaming hobby is probably dying out. But the hobby as a whole, tabletop wargaming or tabletop gaming, is in really good shape. There's so much stuff going on, so many cool things out there, and I just want to find out more about it. So I found it a really interesting experience. So yeah, that's my epiphany. I peeked behind the curtain into the big room.
Yeah, of course, and obviously, because of the difference in scale, it was extra big for Mr. Hobbs.
It was huge.
And of course, interestingly, now they published the audience figures on who attended UK Games Expo. We all met up on the Saturday, and it turns out that on that, we wandered around and we were struggling we were actually struggling to get a game together at times, because Mr. Luff was insisting that we sit down and play a game, weren't you, Mr. Luff?
What else do you do if you go to a games expo?
This is very true. One of the reasons why we were struggling a little bit to get a game was that there were 14,000 people there on the Saturday.
14,000? That's a lot, isn't it?
But it was just under. I think it was about 13,700 ish. But yeah, it's a lot of people. It was a bit quieter on the Friday and the Sunday were very similar. I mean, there was a mere 9,000 on those 2 days, so a little bit quieter. But yeah, so I think the upshot is that we want to go next year, don't we?
Yeah, I'm going for 3 days.
But Mr. Hobbs has already turned around and said, well, we're going for I'm going for 3 days, but don't expect me to go interview anybody. So we might actually be going incognito next year, as punters. I'm thinking, I'm getting withdrawal. It's like I'm thinking, I can't remember the last time I really went to a game show as a punter, as opposed to thinking, I need to go and chat to so and such, and it's scary.
Yeah, so that was the expo.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Do you want to know the rest of my stuff, or do you want to
go on then?
Chat about? Well, I haven't been painting much. I've literally today and yesterday, I got back into painting. I had a month off, so I've been doing my figures for Rune Wars, which I'm going to be playing tomorrow.
Oh, cool!
By the time this goes out, which will be yesterday. So we're doing that.
Which faction are you painting first?
I'm doing them both.
Oh, you're doing them both? Okay.
Yeah, there's nobody's messing around one after the other. I picked up a few things. Obviously, I went a bit mad at the expo. I bought Blood Rage, which is a very good game. And I think we'll have to review that at some stage.
So you bought it and played it?
Played it. Bought it and played it.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. No messing around.
No, you can't have any of my Kickstarter.
Yeah. Anyway.
Mr. Whittaker, have you played it yet?
No.
Have you opened it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on.
So, other than stuff I picked up at the expo, what have I bought? I bought some Future Freedom Fighters from Beast in the Block, who is Graham, ex of Crooked Dice.
So
Graham has gone off and he's doing his own thing now, called Beast in the Block, and he's taken the Future Freedom Fighters and the other figures with him. So I picked up the ones which I didn't get, so I got those. I picked up a set of rules.
Yeah.
Called Crom, which are by Paul Ward from Matakishi's Tea House.
Oh, what? Yeah.
So Crom is a Conan-based skirmish game.
With a name like that, it would have to be.
Yeah, which he sells for the princely sum of £5 as a PDF, and they're very interesting. Yeah, so I've got those. I might try and get those on the table at some stage. I picked up the last Conan expansion.
I was going to say because obviously with the Conan game, you haven't got any figures to play that with, have you?
I got a few, so I should be okay to
Cool.
put together a little war band. I did pick up the last Conan expansion, which I didn't get in the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And I one of these nights when I was wandering around YouTube looking at odd videos, and I came across Captain Beaky.
Way!
Which then reminded me that we were chatting to Joe and Michael from Oathsworn.
Yes.
And so I've purchased a Captain Beaky and his band set of figures.
Do they do a goose or a bird?
They do a wonderful sparrow warrior.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, which is perfect as Captain Beaky. And I got the Toad Animists as Timid Toads. The Rat Warrior is Ratty Rat. The Barn Owl is Artful Owl. And the Bat Mage as Batty Bat.
Oh, superb!
And I've also picked up the Adam Mage as Hissing Sid. And then a few other Gribblies to go in. So we've got the Shoe Warrior, the Green Lizard, the Weasel Rogue, and the Shoe Shaman. I don't know what rules I'm going to use for them. Probably open combat.
Mm.
But after seeing the figures on the Opethorne stand and look at the quality of them, I just thought I got to get some of those in my life. So yeah, I bought those.
I must admit, that is absolutely inspired because I almost, when we interviewed Mike and Joe, I almost played out at the end of the interview. I almost played out with Captain Beaky. I mean, some people might go, "What the heck, Captain Beaky?" I mean, this is misspent youth. This is right back to listening to Noel Edmonds on a Sunday morning. And
dear Lord.
Yeah, Captain Beaky and his band. It was actually a UK #1 single by Keith Michel, he of Henry VIII fame. And but yes, single with Captain Beaky and his band. Go look it up, and you'll find out everything we're on about.
Yeah, so that's me, folks.
Brilliant.
Yes, I'm not going to go listen to Captain Beaky. What's the rest chat?
What have you been up to, Luffy?
Oh, falling asleep. That's what I've been doing.
Huh.
Crikey.
I wasn't talking that long, Dave.
No, you weren't, but I'm just absolutely shattered. What have I been doing? Been getting ready for Operation Market Larden, wasn't I?
Yes. And that's kind of what we've been doing, isn't it?
Yeah, death by dry brushing again.
So
Was it really that bad?
It got to be in the end, didn't it? I think the last couple of weeks we were beginning to struggle. It's like, and we're still doing this.
Yeah.
So apart from
but it was
prepping
worth
for
it.
Market Larden,
Not a lot, have we? Apart from Expo. I went to Expo, like Hobbsy said.
Did you buy anything at Expo, Dave?
No, I didn't. I was going to. I had money in my pocket, willing to spend it, but I didn't see anything that grabbed my fancy. I saw Village, which is an old game which I played ages ago, which really should be in my collection. But yeah, I couldn't really find it at a decent price there, to be honest, so I didn't bother buying it. Expo's getting bigger and bigger every year now, isn't it?
It's huge.
It's getting ridiculous, really. It shows really. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some War Games eventers should go and have a look at Expo and get some ideas, because they're in the entertainment business, full, straight out the bat. That show is a shopping trip, but it's also there as a sales pitch. It's there as an enlightened pitch to, look at this game, look at that game, and it's also an entertainment business. It's, there's whole families there that are just gone for the day or even the weekend, just as a point of entertainment for a day. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, well, we'll come back to, in that case then, we'll come back to Market Larden in a minute, because we'll all chat about Market Larden. But yeah, so that's about it then, mate. Haven't bought anything?
No, don't be silly.
Right, okay. But he did finish painting all his Ben carriers and everything for Market Larden, so he was a good boy. Yeah.
Still got some spare in the box because it's such good value, but they are a pig to put together.
really?
Oh yeah, they are a massive pig to put together. They don't go together. That's the problem.
They are very small, aren't they?
You have to start cutting bits off to make everything fit, don't you?
Yeah, you do.
That's not good.
No, but they worked. It worked.
Right, okay, Mr. Whittaker, what have you been doing? Excluding Market Larden, what have you been doing?
Unlike the rest of you, nothing. Had a game of Sails of Glory down the club. Ordered a couple more ships, and I'm waiting for Wave 4, which looks quite fun. Includes some converted East Indiamen, which should make for interesting fodder for our campaign later in the year.
Mm-hmm.
My inch-thick stack of Terrain from paperterrain.com has turned up.
Hey, finally.
So I shall be, as it turns out that this was not helped by it languishing in customs for 2 weeks due to the wife putting the customs notice somewhere where she thought I'd notice it. And then the following day putting something on top of it without remembering that she'd put it there where she thought I'd notice it. Thanks, dear. Other than that...
It's a good job. It's a good job she doesn't listen to the show.
Yes, it's a very good job she doesn't listen to the show. Sorting out a couple of events for the club. For those of you who are fond of Saga, we have a Saga Ironman tournament on the 16th of July, which is a Sunday.
I noticed that.
Richard from Gripping Beast for coming along. Basically, you need absolutely nothing by yourself. He is providing all the stuff, up to 16 players. Basically, it's a sort of escalation stroke, here's an army, see what you can do with it, tournament. Details on the club website, peterborough-wargames-club.org.uk. Also, did I mention
that I won the Saga Iron Man tournament that I entered that Richard ran?
No, you didn't.
Oh,
well done.
Sorry.
All right, come along the next then. It's only an hour away down the motorway. Down the A47.
I'd say I'm sorely tempted. I would say anybody. If Richard does a brilliant job running the Iron Man tournament, I would heartily recommend you giving that a go. It is a huge amount of fun, and he did a brilliant job with it.
Also, admission only a tenner. So what more can we say? For those of you who are still in love with the versions of WAB before Games Workshop ruined it, we have a WAB 1.5 campaign day being run by my good friend Mr. Andrew Hawes in November, which the details will go up on the website just as soon as I've finished fixing one of the hard drives on the server. And more importantly, for those, I suspect for quite a few folks on here, Sunday the 23rd of July is Posh Lard. Which is to say a Two Fat Lardies Day. The club will be putting on a big, sprawling I Ain't Been Shotgun campaign. I Ain't Been Shotgun game, which probably has the potential for about 4 or 5 players aside, if anyone wants to come in and get their feet wet. Since apart from anything else, I shall be umpiring it, so there will be a degree of tell me what you want your troops to do, and we'll work out how to get them to do it, which is, as far as I'm concerned, by far the best way to run I Ain't Been Shotgun. The lads from Gravesend are bringing a France 1940 Chain of Command game, and my good friend Tim Duckworth will be bringing a 15mm shot practice game. We may have more games, but that's the limit as to what I'm prepared to accept until we know how many people we've got.
Cool.
So if you're not doing anything that Sunday, come along down to Peterborough. Admission, because we're not having to worry about things like prize support, will only be a £5 for that one. Again, bookable on the club website. Links are in just about every relevant Lardies Facebook group, on my blog, on the club website. You can't miss it.
Yes, Meeples website as well. Yes.
With that in mind, I have been doing a little bit of shopping. I have picked up 4 Skytrex Sherman crabs and some Peter Pig dead cows.
Because you can't beat a dead cow.
Because you can't beat a cow, and some more 15mm bocage because there isn't enough. The club does not know enough for a 10x6 table.
Oh, that's a big table.
It's a battalion inside.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Enough said.
and anybody who knows me well and knows what I am fond of in terms of World War II and what if Normandy scenarios might even be able to guess which book it'll be based on. But that's me.
Cool. Well, unlike Mr. Luff, I have been doing some gaming outside of us getting together. I'm sorry, Dave. I've been seeing other people to game. I do apologise. I forgot that actually, because it was the weekend before UK Games Expo, we haven't actually had a chance to talk about it. But yeah, I did a Saga Iron Man tournament at Battlefield Hobbies, which by some complete fluke I managed to win.
Do you not turn up?
I'm not going there. There weren't that many people. It has to be said. Normally, Richard runs with the minimum of 8, and they did have 2 no-shows on the day. So there were only 6 of us. So I feel, in some ways, coming clean, I do feel a little bit when I go, I won the Cyberman tournament, but there were only 6 of us. Yeah. We got a trophy. Still counts. Honest. Right, so I did that. Obviously, we then did the whole UK Games Expo thing, and you've heard all about that. However, I also managed to get a game of Rune Wars in with Josh, which just did a standard 100 points, because I still haven't assembled my second box of Rune Wars yet that I bought at Salute, because I've been concentrating on getting Larden stuff done. And then last Friday, got a game of Dark Souls in. The new Dark Souls board game. With my other mate Dave and Josh. That's an interesting game. Got some really nice mechanics in it. Some fantastic figures. I'm writing a blog post about it. Jury's out, I think, on, I know a lot of people turned around and said, potentially, it's a long game. I was describing it to Dave as we were travelling down to Larden on Saturday morning. I've never played the computer game, but Luffy, you have, haven't you?
Oh, crikey, yeah. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
What you were saying to me, it's exactly, the board game virtually emulates exactly what the computer game does, which I don't know if that's going to work particularly well, to be honest, in the long run. Yeah,
but and this is what a lot of people are saying. It's you have to grind in the board game in order to be able to defeat the bosses. And at the moment, I think jury's out. I'd like to get another couple of games in before I decide whether that's actually a good idea. I enjoyed it.
You need a bit more grinding.
Yeah,
get a bit more grinding in.
Get a bit more grinding in. Yeah, that's wrong on just so many levels. But there you go. So yeah, so play Dark Souls. So that's interesting. But yeah, miniatures that are fantastic. So that's all I've done gaming wise. I have bought a couple of things. So the expo. What did we get? The expo, I bought, because Deep Cut Studios was there, I thought I'd save on the postage and bought a 6x3 gaming mat for Rune Wars. Neoprene one, which is very nice. Yeah, I know people were saying, well, you got a 6x4 mat, just tape off the edges, and you know what? My gaming OCD kicked in, and I kind of went, can't do that, I need a 6x3. And people are kind of going, the lad's crazy, but yeah, I bought a 6x3 for playing Rune Wars on. So yeah, did that. Or happened to get 3 expansions for Conan because I didn't order them on the Kickstarter. And I've ordered, I got the first infantry expansion sets, the 2 infantry command packs for Rune Wars, for both undead and humans, and I've just been told that the heroes have just been dispatched, so they should be coming before the end of the week. So, yeah, the 2 new heroes. I don't know if you've got those yet, Hobbsy.
No, I haven't ordered those. I just ordered the sort of command packs to have a look.
No, I must admit, I thought, 200 points, you can play 2 heroes. I'll go on then. As you do.
Yeah, I want to play it out first and see how it goes.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think 200 points is going to be a lot better. Is going to be a lot better than the 100-point battle that we played. Yeah. But I did enjoy it, and I thought, yeah, go for it. And there was a game I saw at the expo which I didn't buy, which I was kicking myself. I thought they were limited in numbers, and they happened to have a couple of spare, so I ordered, and it should be coming by the end of the week, and that's Gloom of Kilforth, which is a card-based adventure game, and the art of which is absolutely gorgeous. If you look on, I think it's day one. No, my picture. If you look on my picture blog about UK Games Expo, you'll see some of the artwork for Gloom of Kilforth. looks an absolutely fantastic game. And, yeah, I succumbed and bought a copy of that. And that's about me.
And I've realised in you saying that I've missed two things I bought.
Oh, go on then.
So one is a wee little board stroke card game called The Cousins War, which is a small.
Oh, that's Surprise Dare Games.
That's the one.
Yes.
Yes. It was only £14. Why would you not?
Yeah, War of the Roses, isn't it?
Little War of the Roses, little 5-turn War of the Roses cardy boardy game thing. £14. Why would you not?
Good company, Surprise Dare, like them.
Yeah, and I backed a Kickstarter, which you and I actually discussed at Partisan.
Oh, what Kickstarter did you back?
Oh, come on, Neil. Your memory's not that bad, is it?
Discussed at Oh! Yes, that one.
That one.
Terrain, yes.
Terrain. The lovely folks from Sally Forth. And they're, and I've got to get the name right here, otherwise they're going to hate me, Terraformers. Basically, for those of you who weren't watching me drool over it for most of the day at Partisan, a system for producing foot-square terrain tiles. And being Sally Forth, obviously the core ingredient is MDF. Essentially what they do is they have some largely 2-inch high, but some are less, some are more, sides that you can put together into a square. And so you can have sides that are things like sea level, you can have something with a cliff step in it, you can have things with a river cuts in the sides. Some of them have cutaways, so you can put roads in one of 3 places, etc., etc., etc. You build your square frame. You cut a piece of polystyrene to fit. To fit in the hole. You shape the polystyrene so it lines up at the edges. You paint it, and it also, each side piece comes with 2 neatly drilled holes into which you can fit a little neodymium round magnet. They all click together. They all tessellate together in pretty fashions. They look really blooming awesome, actually. That would be. Would you say that was a fair summary?
Yeah, and for the wonders of wibbly wobbly timey wimey, remember that description because we might be talking about it in a few weeks in another context.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. But yes, they are very pretty indeed. Well, they're what you make of them, but they're when Andy Miller, who is the man who turns my stupid ideas into 3D terrain, and I were discussing how to do modular boards, it's fundamentally the design we came up with, except 1 foot square rather than 2 foot square.
Cool.
And they're a brilliant idea. I have to say, they are a fantastic idea.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, does look very interesting as ideas go. Yeah, we did drool over them a little bit at Partisan. So yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. We had to, I had to bring a towel for you, but there we go.
Oh yeah, I was drooling big time. I was, mate. Yeah, they're very, very nice. And I think there might be a little piece on them on the blog sometime fairly soon.
Right, and actually, well, you mentioning Kickstarter, that also reminded me that there's I actually backed a Kickstarter as well. And funny enough, it's related to the game I bought because Tim who did Gloom Overkill 4th actually is currently running a Kickstarter for another a 2-player card game called 1066 Tears for Many Mothers.
Ooh.
Yes, a two-player card game with artwork, which is again beautiful artwork, but it's a asymmetric force card game reflecting reflecting the build-up to and the Battle of Hastings.
Super.
So,
very nice.
It is very. It looks gorgeous. So it's like, ooh, that looks interesting. And I think that's running to the end of the month. So yeah, I bought that as well. Okay, so which leaves us with one thing to discuss.
OML.
And unfortunately, at this point, we have to say that that Mr. Luff has left us.
Dropped off.
Indeed.
Much in the same way as he did on the evening.
Just no stamina, that boy.
Yeah, these young'uns have no stamina at all.
So none whatsoever.
Yes, Market Larden.
What can we say?
Very good.
It's good day.
A huge hat tip to Aid Deacon.
Mm. Yeah.
Very much so.
If you're listening, Aid, massively awesome job. Great day. Love the new venue.
Yes.
Apart from the fact it was a bit dingy at my end.
Yeah. We were in the Northwick Hotel this year,
which is the one everyone stays in anyway.
Yes. But we were in one of their major function rooms, which it's a nice venue. The lighting's a little mixed.
Yeah, basically if you're out by the windows on two of the side walls, it's fine. If you're in the far corner where I was, it can be a little dingy, but it's not so bad that you can't play.
Yes.
And it's a bigger room. It's really, really handy for the late night debauchery.
Yeah, and the bar.
Well, the curry restaurant is what
100 yards away
down the road.
Yeah.
You don't have to drive 6 miles through twisty, windy country roads outside of Evesham to find the church hall where the games are being held, because they're right there in the hotel courtyard. Job's a good one.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
So, what did you run, Hobbsy?
We did a big chain of command game. So Jeff.
Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
I wrote the scenario. Jeff did all the terrain and corrected my reported lack of historical knowledge. Yeah, it was. It was good fun. I mean, I'm not going to go into all of the game in great detail because it's 10:30, and I've sent the scenario notes over to Nick, and it may be appearing in the Lardy Summer Special.
You too, huh?
Yeah, Nick asked me to during the event. So yeah, we did that. Yeah, not much to say. It was a brilliant day. I really enjoyed it.
And after all the epic preparation, Neil, how did it go?
Your table looked fantastic. That was a proper town.
I have to admit, it was one of the 2 or 3 best tables there.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
But we all know which was the best.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Which more later.
Yeah. Okay. How did our epic go? Very well. I mean, Dave was most patient with me building the table in the morning because I do get a bit anal.
Really?
Making tables. Just
you were sounding like an old married couple over from where I was standing, mate.
Yeah, the entire weekend.
But no, it went really well. It was Dave against Vlad. Hello, Vlad, in the morning. It's amazing. We have such a small world. It turns out that Vlad lives 2 streets away from where my parents live in Bromsgrove, which is a really weird thing to find out. But there we go. But so effectively, Vlad was our guinea pig in the morning because we hadn't actually had much chance to actually play test the scenario. We put it all out and pointed it all out and kind of went, oh yeah, that'll work. But it was our first real run at it from actually physically playing it. So anyway, in the afternoon, it went as planned. Okay, it was a big chain of command game. So it's actually designed for 4 players. We called it Kenneth's Heroes. So Dave's favourite war film, or one of his favourite films, is Kelly's Heroes. But so all we did was change it. So because it was a British force against a German force, rather than going after gold, we had them going after beer. So they were trying to capture a brewery, basically, and it was based loosely on the last battle scene from Kelly's Heroes, where the platoon has to get into a town, and the town happens to be defended by a bunch of Tiger tanks. So that's what we did, and it went really well. People really enjoyed themselves, and it is interesting. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the one thing I did find interesting was our table looks completely different when set up in the middle of a room, as opposed to in Dave's game room. Because obviously in Dave's game room we have like I don't know 3 feet if we're lucky all around the table, and then seeing it in the middle of a room and suddenly going, "Oh, it looks different. Oh, that doesn't look too bad." Yeah, but that was tremendous fun. Really enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody who played it and put up with my really poor umpiring, especially in the afternoon where it turned out that we were playing. I don't know his surname. Sorry, Ian. But it turned out that Ian knew Chain of Command Dance better than I did, which is always fun.
Yeah, reminds me of running bloody Omaha at OML2 and getting Rob Avery as one of my players in the second round.
But no, it was tremendous help, and of course, and especially when you end up here with really inventive players who decide to do things different, and so you end up going, "Oh, I haven't done that before." Start leafing through the rule book, trying to find something. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that. I'll be honest with you. I mean, with our players, we just let them get on with it. We just basically gave them the scenario and went, "Off you go." It was a lot easier than trying to teach them the rules.
It was a brilliant game. Really enjoyed it. How about you, Mr. Whittaker?
Well, I due to not having had as much time to prep as I'd like, and also wanting to run something that I knew how it worked, I took the first scenario from our Club Italy campaign for I Am Being Shot along on the grounds that I know how it works. I have all the handouts prepared, even if I forgot to take them with me. Thank you, Neil, for printing me out another set.
No problem. Sorry they weren't in colour.
It's all right. It also doesn't require any of the club scenery, so I didn't have to break into the club on Thursday night. Basically, it's a little British company taking on Valle della Maria, the Valley of the Marias. There's a little ruined town of Santa Maria off to the right and Santa Magdalena down at the far end of the table, and the decision of do you ignore the little village entirely and just go beat up the big town, or what? And the two teams handled it very differently. The morning bunch decided to send a platoon off to the side, and then got thoroughly bogged down halfway down the road towards the big village, compounded by the fact that 2 Stugs popped up out of the olive grove across the field from them and destroyed all their Shermans.
As you do.
As you do, yes. The afternoon team decided, we'll mop that up later, and basically just piled down the road and across the big cornfield to the village at the bottom, and were doing absolutely brilliantly because they'd adopted classic British tactics. It's a piece of cover, lay some smoke in front of it. Don't knock it. It's the way. That's
exactly what happened in there's a similar sort of thing happened in our scenario. It's like you're almost like your number one asset as a British player in any level of World War II game is your 2-inch mortar. Smoke!
And it doesn't hurt if your Shermans are as they were carrying smoke rounds, and your off-table artillery knows that it may be called on to fire a smoke mission.
Ah, yes.
So there was an awful lot of smoke on that table, and they were doing brilliantly until they got to the corner of the big field, and the Germans pre-registered 4x 80mm mortars hit them 4 times on the trot, once in the open.
Messy.
Very messy.
Right.
It was a great game. I really enjoyed it, but as I think I've said in the past, I almost enjoy umpiring. I Am Being Shot more than I enjoy playing it.
Yes.
And a good time was had by all.
Cool.
Best game of the day, though, by a long shot, just for the, oh my giddy aunt, how pretty is that table, has to be Aiden Al Stalingrad game. That was just, wow.
Yeah.
It was good.
Oh my goodness!
It has to be said though. I mean, before we have verbal orgasms over Alan's amazing terrain. The standard of games and what was put on was just. I mean, it was huge. It was really, really high. I mean. Jim Ibbetson's little ACW game in the corner.
Never makes a good table, that man.
Yeah.
was superb. And unfortunately, I never managed to get a photo of it with any figures on the table. And it's huge. It's fantastic stuff. Yeah.
And when Matt and Ralph's Martian practice is relegated to, yes, there were quite a few tables this good.
Yes, and that
gives you an idea of how high the standard of the table was.
And crikey, okay. Can any of you guys remember the name of the guy who ran the Kiss Me Hardy table?
No.
Adam
ran Kiss Me Hardy. Now, okay.
Oh my.
And you turn around and go, yeah, it's okay. It's a CMAT. And what scale were the ships he had?
Big.
They're big. I don't know what scale, but they're about 6 inches long.
And he hazarded a rough guess at somewhere about. Well, if a Sails of Glory ship, which is 2 inches long, is 1/1000th, those must have been 1/300th.
Yeah, probably
something like that. And they were good. I mean, what was it? I think it was 4 ships aside. I think it was something like that. And
I too shall come over somewhat unnecessary at this point because those were nice.
They were really nice. He fully rigged them and everything, wasn't it?
How far he brought them.
Yeah, he bought them from America via Sweden.
Sweden.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, truly international, and they were gorgeous. And you turn around and say again when it's like, okay, yes, it was a flat table with some incredible ships on it. Fantastic,
and a very nice CMAT.
And yes, they say very nice CMAT, very nice CMAT.
Let's see, Clarky brought what a tanker. Sorry, I mean tank commander.
Officially, tank commander.
In the morning, and then very wisely decided he was going to go and play some games in the afternoon, which I thought was very sensible of him.
Well, he wanted to go and play on that table, didn't he?
Can you blame him?
Yeah.
Yes, and then obviously, and then Rob Avery ran Eastern Front Ambient Shopman.
Yeah. He ran a scenario from his Polish campaign book.
Oh, it's Polish campaign book. The Polish campaign.
Germans against Poles.
On a very nice board that it was one of these put a load of contours on the table and then lay a mat over it.
Shove a nice heavy cloth over the top and off you go. Yeah, it was certainly a board that also had a fair amount of 3D in it.
Indeed,
which was good.
So, but it is, as you say, it is interesting when we're talking about these stunning looking games. And kind of going, none of those actually looked as good as. I mean, every game had a lot. I loved Hobbsy. I loved your game with Jess Terrain and stuff on it as well.
Because
it really showed off. It really showed off the Ham and Jam buildings, and what I mean, it looked really nice. Mr. Whittaker's multifunctional use of. I'm sure Games Workshop never intended their boards to be used as Italy.
A chunk of World War II Italy. They look the part, though. I was quite proud of that.
Oh yes, they look great. But and then you have
once you get to parched grass and white buildings with red Pantel roofs, you're sort of halfway there, aren't you?
That's it. Plus your vineyard. You're all right.
Yeah. You're laughing.
Yeah, and then we had
the Stugs in.
And then we had 28mm Stalingrad in the corner.
Yeah. And that's only half the board. He's going to make the other half soon.
I don't know what he's going to do with it, since he said he's not actually bringing it to any shows or anything, but...
because
you hadn't going up for a game.
Yeah, because he hadn't built the... he had... Because... what was he building on the second half of the board?
The Volga.
The Volga.
Oh yes, he was doing the Volga for the other half of the board to put them together.
Big river.
Yeah. With a landing stage. Apparently he's got a 1/48 scale Heinkel, which he's modelled to be crashed, and there's going to be all the trenches running through that, as per in the film.
Yes.
Boat going across it, Stukas coming over. On car
Basically, go look at the pictures on Neil's blog or litter it all over Facebook in the various groups. I don't think words can do it justice.
No.
It was nice.
I found it a bit busy myself.
It was not one of those boards of which you can say there wasn't enough terrain on it.
No.
I think the individual gluing of of all the masonry, of all the ruined masonry on the board would probably have driven me mad.
Yeah.
Well, even madder than dry brushing roads.
Oh, I think dry brushing that table would have driven you mad. Especially the custard.
That was...
Yeah,
Yeah,
was
in the
stunning.
railway trucks. We should mention, yes, there was also a railway yard, loads of trucks, a factory for which the chimney was at least 2'6" high.
That was a cardboard tube. Apparently, all the brickwork he did using paper. He got some paper printed
Oh, right.
and basically attached it and then made it look fantastic. Because if I stuck paper to thick MDF, it would have looked like
Paper stuck to through the MDF.
Yeah.
He didn't do it the crazy railway modeller's way then.
No, it's all paper.
No, the crazy railway modeller's way is you cut out individual bricks from paper.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
blimey. No, but it didn't look like paper terrain.
It looked
No,
fantastic.
it didn't at all. It's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Have we drooled enough?
Yeah, that'll do.
I think
And then we had a curry and a few beers. Clarky sang, we talked rubbish for a couple hours about stuff and sloped off to bed with a hangover.
Clarky sang some more. You forgot Clarky sang some more.
Yes, Barmaid got very upset.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd
Too
gone to
loud.
bed by-
Too loud, man. Too loud. It's not.
But it was a great weekend. And next
It
year,
was.
we'll do it again.
We'll do it all again next year. God, any thoughts on what you're doing next year? Yeah.
Okay.
A game. Yeah,
I'm too fond of umpiring to want to play. I really do enjoy umpiring games, so I shall quite happily stick something on.
Yeah, I'm caught between two or three different ideas at the moment. If I was really crazy, I'd do Charlie Don't Surf.
Ooh. I have got some 15mm Vietnam you can use for that.
Well, I've got it all in 10 because it's designed for 10mm, and
Okay.
I do happen to have it all in 10. I think
I do have one slightly crazy idea, which will require quite the terrain build, but might be worth it.
Because the other and the other crazy idea again with the terrain build was because you know Mark Bowden. You remember Mark Bowden? Mark Bowden, the American journalist who published Black Hawk Down.
Yeah.
He's just written his latest book is on the U.S. Marine offensive in Hawaii City in '68. There is a part of me who are kind of going, "Well, that'd be interesting to do that."
But anyway, let's not get too
Yeah.
too much because it's getting late.
It's getting late, and it's time to
Yeah,
go. Right, okay.
I'm toying with Battle for Schloss Itter.
Ooh. Right. Well, and on that note,
which is the slightly wacky one, which has 16 Americans, 11 Germans taking on a bunch of Waffen SS in a German castle.
I do have to admit, there is part of me that wants to do my slow to lose shall practice.
that would be cool. That would be so funny. Oh yeah, that would be really funny. I definitely think you should do that.
Yeah.
Right, and on that note, that's what we've been up to, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be chatting with Mike's mate, Mr. Thornhill himself. And we'll find out all about pandas. We hope that you're enjoying this episode of the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you are, would you like to support us? There's a couple of ways of doing so. You can become a patron of the show by supporting us on our Patreon page. There you can give regularly every time we produce a show. Alternatively, you may want to give a one-off donation, and you can do that by using PayPal. For more details on both these options, please click on the Donate tab on our website www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. Have you ever wondered what's going on in wargaming? We do too. So come with us as we go behind the hobby with the Meeples and Miniatures interview. We're very pleased to, well, actually welcome back to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast, because he has been on here before. Although the last time he talked to us, actually one of us was over on his side of the Atlantic. Mr. Bill Thornhill from Footsore Miniatures. Hello, Bill.
Hello, Neil and gang. How you doing?
We're well, guys. We're well. How are you doing? How are you? I understand you're now officially an American citizen. Is that correct?
I'm officially an American, yes. I had my citizenship ceremony last Friday, and now I'm a fully fledged Yank. I'm sat here with a burger and some Mountain Dew, and I'm enjoying the American dream. Which is,
they let anybody in, wouldn't they? They really will.
It was something I'd planned for quite a while now, basically, so my wife didn't think I'd leave. So if nothing else.
Yes. Now, our listeners may detect the fact that despite the fact that Bill is, as a self-proclaimed now American citizen, he doesn't quite sound American.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Some of the language is definitely leaning to American, but I'm holding on to the accent because, quite frankly, they love it over here. If I go in stores and, if they haven't seen me before, they go, I love your accent. And my standard response now is, yeah, everybody does. To which, if my wife's there, there's a huge eye roll and a sigh. And, whatever.
My good friend Phil's response to that is, actually, I don't have an accent.
Yeah, this is England.
Yes, indeed. Yes, Bill, welcome back to the show. And if you are wondering how Bill has been on here before, actually, Mr. Whittaker interviewed him last year when Mike went to Historicon. Is that right, Mike?
That is correct. Yes, I did the little trip round various people. Ran into Warlord, who I wasn't expecting to interview in that country either. And I seem to recall you were sort of sitting on one side of their stall, weren't you?
I was, yeah. Look, kind of trying to look busy, which is my usual raison d'être.
Well, you certainly parted me with the money for my Romano-British cavalry for Dux Britanniarum, so we still haven't been painted.
Well, that's a surprise. A wargamer that doesn't paint his figures.
No, I pay someone else to.
Oh, well, that's a smart wargamer.
Even though you kind of been on the show before in passing, you haven't kind of officially been on. In fact, we haven't officially interviewed you in this sort of format. So, Bill.
Yes, it's all new.
It's all new. As regular listeners will know, when we have a new guest on the show, the first thing we try and do is to get some background from you into how you got into the hobby. So, can we have now, in your own words, how you got into wargaming in the first place?
I was going to use Mike's words, but okay, I'll use mine. It all started back in about 1980, I want to say 88 or 89 maybe. And I was in the army at the time, and I shared a dorm with another two guys. And one of the guys, it was a weekend, the other two guys were out for some reason, probably drinking. And I was sat in my bunk, and I noticed that one of the guys had left a book on the end of his bed. And so I picked it up and read the initial version of Warhammer 40k, the Rogue Trader edition. And I sat there all day reading it. And I'd never heard of wargaming before. And I was absolutely fascinated with it. And I couldn't put the thing down. And I was due to go on leave about 2 weeks later. So off I went, and I spent a fortune in Games Workshop, came back with Space Marines and Orcs and a rule book and lots of paint and glue. And that was it for me. we ended up fighting 40k battles on the floor of our dorm. And there'd be guys walking past going, "What the heck's you lot doing? Go away."
I could imagine.
Tactics training, bugger off. So that was it. Well, that was my start into wargaming. The bug just bit, and I just kept on doing it.
So, from playing 40k on the 40k in your dorm, how on earth did you end up in a situation where you were running your own wargames company?
That's it. You wanted the whole history? Right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Well,
this might take a while.
Yeah, we don't do it by half measures here, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, should we let listeners into a secret at this point?
Which one?
There's many of them.
Well,
not the one about the panda.
Don't mention the panda.
We weren't going to mention the panda.
No.
Oh,
panda. Okay.
You're not mentioning the panda. Okay.
No, we're not mentioning the panda.
But okay. You may guess that we all know Bill to a certain extent, but one of us knows Bill an awful lot better than everybody else does.
Oh, that secret.
Yeah.
You mean the fact that Bill is Mike's pusher?
He's not for a while now, but I was. Yeah, Mike was my regular gaming buddy back in South Wales. We'd have our Thursday nights. I believe it was, Mike, every Thursday night. And we'd play on that table around mine at first, and then you set up a proper table around yours, and then we ended up coming around to yours.
Yeah. We used to meet up fairly often. Most days really. At one point,
it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
Just popping over to Bill's for half an hour, come back 3 hours later.
3 hours later, yeah. And you wonder why I never got any work done.
There were many other reasons why you didn't get any work done.
Yeah, there was, yeah. Well, but you were a good excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, going back to the whole history saga. So while I was in the army, I can't remember how I did it, but I ended up doing illustrations for Games Workshop. Don't ask me to follow the reason about how it happened, because I really can't remember, other than the fact I may have sent John Blanche, the art director, some illustrations of mine. And I came back from exercise one day, and there was a parcel there, and it was the Warhammer Armies book, which is like their first army list for Warhammer Fantasy. And I picked it up and I was flicking through it, and there was one of my pictures, and I was like, "Oh wow, I'm published." So that was kind of cool. And so from there, I kind of I did more illustrations for the Chaos books, mainly. Because of that, I started to get to know people in the industry a little bit, but that kind of didn't really go anywhere because I was in Germany and various. When I left the army, I got a job in IT, like Mike. In fact, it's where I met Mike initially in our days at BT, and I decided IT wasn't for me, so I went and painted figures for a living for a while. And it was while I was doing that, I got a job with Foundry painting their figures, and through that little job, I got connected to Nick Collier, the sculptor. Right. And got chatting with him, and he would, we'd chat away about painting and sculpting. And I'd said I'd tried to sculpt, but I wasn't very successful at it. And he happened to be in North Wales one weekend and invited me up there to his little holiday cottage. It was one of the rare ones that an Englishman hadn't been burnt out of by that point. And
you went there.
I went there. I can do that now. I live over in the States. And so, he spent a weekend showing me the basics of pushing putty around, which was very kind of him. And I went away and practiced. And then I think about a month or two later, he invited me up to Newcastle, where he lives. And I did another weekend there with him. And this weekend was like a proper boot camp. I can't remember sleeping much. We were working till 2 a.m, at least one night. And he basically showed me how to make figures from scratch, not just conversions and things like that. So I came away with like a wealth of knowledge, and I was very, very fortunate for that to happen. And I'll be forever indebted to Nick for showing me that. So from there, I I actually applied for a sculpting job at Foundry when they advertised for one. I didn't get it. A guy called Dave Thomas, a very talented guy, got the job. But Brian Ansell offered me a job as a master mold maker with the aim that a year from then I would become the next trainee sculptor. So, nothing to lose, so I went for it. And I learned how to mold make, and I learned how to cast, and I learned what makes a good figure and what makes a bad figure, and various other things about the industry and about the production side of things. And all the time I was practicing my own sculpting. So when I left Foundry, I'd actually come away with a whole host of skills that I didn't have before. And so I moved back to South Wales, which really cheered Mike up because I know he missed me. And then that was your cue, Mike. You missed it.
Hobbsy, get yourself off mute. Come on.
I'm just listening. I'm just listening to him. No, that didn't happen. He's making all this up.
He always dozes off when I start talking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went back to South Wales and I got myself a job as a postman. But at the same time, I was playing WAB. I think was one of the main games I was playing at the time. And I decided I wanted an Arab army, and I didn't really like much that was out there, so I decided to make them myself. And I started making the Arabs, and someone took them to Salute and sold some for me, and I was like, "Oh, I might actually be able to do this for a bit of spare money." And basically, it just blossomed from there. Musketeer Miniatures was born of that whimsical moment, and we ran Musketeer Miniatures for, I want to say, about 6-8 years, something like that. My memory is not what it used to be. And eventually, when I moved over here, Musketeer went to Grip Beast. They licensed it out, and they ran it for a few years. And I wanted to bring Musketeer over here, and there was a kind of difference of opinion on whether it should come over here as well as the UK. So in the end, I brought it over here, and we parted ways amicably, myself and Grip Beast, his lordship. But by that time, I'd already created Footsore Miniatures. So basically what happened was that I took all the figures that I'd made for Musketeer and assimilated them into the Footsore range. And that's basically where we are now.
Right.
Yeah.
That was it.
So I was waiting for Mr. Hobbs in his normal way to come in and then take over part of the interview, but yet again he missed his cue.
He gets very sleepy when I talk.
I do. That's the fact. It seems odd me interviewing Bill because he's a mate.
I'm sure it's very bizarre.
Okay,
yeah. You can tell we planned this, can't you?
Yeah. I'm just waiting for him every time I answer something for him to go liar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that you missed out. But we can let it go, Bill.
We can, because we all need sleep at some point.
Yeah.
So obviously, Bill, there were certain things you've left out. I mean, obviously, you haven't yet told us the secret of how to beat Mr. Hobbs at any form of war game.
It's easy. You just play him. He's awful. He rolls dice like he's never rolled dice before. He will have a game. I played games with him where 1 and 2 has been his friend throughout the whole game, and it's been wonderful. But then there's other times that he will be a demon and sell his soul, and I ended up getting nowhere with my games. I think he was the better player out. If I'm honest, he was the better player out of us both.
Oh no. Well, maybe.
No, you're right. You weren't. No.
Actually, Bill is the reason that I'm such a butterfly. Because before I met Bill, I only played 2 games. One of those was epic, and then suddenly he was just like, "Oh, let's play this. Oh, let's play this. Oh, let's play this. Oh, let's get this army. Well, I've got a great idea. Let's buy another army. Oh, let's do the Siege of Varak for 40 days."
It's probably a really good job Guru Luff is not here, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, Mike, your place has been taken by my buddy over here, Ryan Lingle, who lives here in Worcester, and I've been exactly the same with him. He started out when we first met. we met on the Malifaux forum. We were both looking for opponents in the area, and so we went out for a beer and we chatted about gaming all night. And so, of course, because we met on the Malifaux forum, our first game was Saga, and then we decided we'd play something else, and then something else. And now he basically had a Malifaux force, and he had some 40k, and now he's got Saga forces, box games. He's got various other things that he'll never get painted. And I've just done the same with him, basically. So don't feel too bad.
Yes, you're a bad man, Thornhill.
You weren't singled out.
No.
Is what I'm trying to say.
I thought you were going to say that I wasn't the first.
And no, you were the first, mate. You'll always be my first. And oddly enough, we've kind of swung around, and I found myself while I was in the UK a couple of weeks ago. I took my wife, as you do on a belated honeymoon, to Games Workshop in Nottingham, so she could look around the place and see where we're not as a company. And I ended up buying the Shadow Wars Armageddon rule set. So now I'm back full circle, and I'm just about to start painting up some 40k figures, which is I never saw coming in a million years. But there you go.
Oh, Bill, please don't encourage him. Have you not seen what Hobbs has been dithering on about the last 2 days?
Yes, and it's funny.
But you did miss Partisan.
I did miss Partisan.
And you did miss Salute, but we won't go there.
Miss Salute, yeah.
Oh, yes. No, we can't, because Wendy might listen to this, and we can't do the blame game.
No.
Because I have to live with her.
Yeah. So, Bill, tell us what you weren't at Salute.
Well, there was a mix-up. There was a regimental reunion the week after Salute, and my wife had got confused on the dates that we were supposed to be going, so she booked the tickets thinking that the regimental reunion was the thing we were going to, not Salute. So she booked the tickets a week later than what she should have. So yeah, it all went pear-shaped. So I didn't go to Salute. Sniff.
So that's the reason why Footsore Miniatures didn't appear at Salute this year.
Well, I mean, I was only going for a jolly.
Okay.
Which is normal for Salute.
Yes, which is normal for Salute. But yeah, Andy Lyons at AC Castings takes the Footsore range at shows, so we couldn't really take Salute away from him. That wouldn't be very fair. No, I was just going around to just meet up with people and say hello and see some old faces, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So whilst this reminiscence is great fun for me and Nee,
yeah,
we probably should talk about Footsore, shouldn't we?
I suppose so. So. We should have a phone call ourselves at some point,
Yes. Yeah. So, what ranges are you doing at the moment in Footsore? And the other thing I'm interested in is how you're managing to do a UK and a US operation when it's just you.
Well, it's not just me now, which is why it's running so well. The UK branch of Footsore is run by a guy called Andy Hobday and Mark Farr, two very experienced industry chaps who have both started off in Games Workshop and have evolved into various other companies. Andy works full time for Warlord Miniatures, and Mark works for some engineering firm, I think it is. And they, in their spare time, basically run Footsore. When I say that, we have two other employees, Ben and Darren, who run the actual workshop and packing department. So Andy and Mark are really overseers over there, and organisers of our kind of social media and our, the direction we're going with the company. Over here in the States, it's just me. I'm back to being my one-man band that I used to be, which is kind of fun, really. It's it's packing, it's casting, it's mold making, it's doing everything that I did when I ran Musketeer on my own. And the idea is we'll be running two mirror companies. So everything that's available from Footsore UK will be available eventually from Footsore US. We're playing catch up at the moment with some of the ranges, the Arabs and the very British Civil War those molds are being remade steadily. So hopefully by the middle of summer, we'll have everything duplicated on this side of the pond. And it'll run. They'll both run on two different sites. Obviously, for people in the US who are paying dollars, it'll run on one site, and then the UK and the rest of the world will be on the other one. We're also that said, along with the sites, I might as well mention something new that just happened today. Is we purchased a domain name for a hobby page. And we're going to be running a hobby page dedicated to articles on everything: painting, sculpting, gaming, whatever you like. So that's going to be popping up in the near future. Okay, so it's a very simple one. It's sculptingpaintingandgaming.com. So we're covering all the bases there. But the reason we went with that was because it'll run under the acronym SPG, which, as you all know, being children of the 80s, is...
Special Patrol Group.
Yes, I knew you'd get it.
And Vivian's hamster.
Yes. So, people in the States won't probably get that, but that was an 80s comedy about 4 students who lived in this squat. And one of them, the punk rocker, had a hamster called Special Patrol Group. So, yes, you had to be there, I guess.
So how's it working with making the molds and everything? Because do you make the molds for the US, or do you just make the masters and then send them over to the UK?
We're kind of refining that at the moment. At the moment, I do everything. However, we have got another mold maker now on call for us to make molds. There's a new range that we're working on that's going to be molded all by that guy in the UK, and I'll continue molding the stuff I make basically, and then we'll just exchange the master figures when we need to for the cross pollination of molds. It works much easier that way. Shipping molds overseas is expensive. A box of molds costs almost $300 to post. Ooh. So it's a lot of money, and that's only 10 molds. So it's refining it down to where we can make molds on both sides of the pond is the way ahead. Otherwise, it gets expensive. I am the cheap option, obviously, but it also increases my workload. And as the US still gets busier, then we need a bit more flexibility that way. So it's working out well so far.
Do you just sculpt for Footsore Miniatures, or do you do commissions for the companies, or how's it work at the moment?
As Clint Eastwood once said, a man's got to know his limitations, and I've found over the years that I'm better not taking commissions because I take too long with them, if I'm honest. So what I do now is, if I do take a commission, it'll be for a one-off figure or a giveaway figure. I'll do giveaway figures for people. I've just done the giveaway, or one of the giveaways, for the Warlord Games Day in Oklahoma, which I'm flying out to tomorrow, which is a model of General Pershing, and things like that. I don't mind doing, but I won't take on any ranges, simply because it in the long run it's detrimental. Because if I'm going to make a range of figures, I might as well be making them for the company that I run rather than someone else's company. It doesn't make sense otherwise. So I kind of don't take big commissions anymore.
Right.
It'd be nice to have the time, but it's just not practical anymore.
No.
Okay, so if someone's never heard of Footsore Miniatures before, and I mean, if you haven't, where on earth have you been? But
you'd be surprised, Neil. You'd be surprised that the amount of people that have never heard of us. And that's one of the things we're kind of concentrating on now is getting out there, so people do know us. Probably one of the reasons, one of the reasons for our growth in the past few months has been the fact that we've been kind of promoting the Footsore brand a lot more than we had done in previous years.
Sorry, I was going to say, okay, so in an effort to aid with that promotion, what do you, as far as Footsore is concerned, what ranges do you do?
Well, we primarily do Dark Age figures, and that's really because I game Dark Ages. The whole basis of the product line is selfishness. It's stuff I want to game. So we do from late Romans. We've just introduced a late line of Picts and Scots. We do Dark Age Irish. We do medieval Arabs. We do Goths. We do early Saxons. We do late Saxons. And I'm currently working on Vikings at last because I'm tired of the emails. Basically, people ask me, when am I going to make Vikings? And I was like, okay, I'm going to make Vikings. So we do all that, but we also dabble in other ranges. When I had Musketeer, I made a range of figures for the Great Northern War, which are now owned by We Wolf Miniatures. A good friend of mine, Don Hauser, he's taken the Great Northern War range, and he's going to be releasing it this year with lots of extras that I've done that haven't been released yet. But we also do World War One. We do a British Expeditionary Force for World War One, and probably what we're most remembered for, I think, as Musketeer was the Very British Civil War, which is a range of, it's, if you like, a fantasy range or a fantasy game, where it's an alternative history of 1938 when Edward didn't abdicate. He married Wallis Simpson. There was a constitutional crisis, which then erupted into civil war, and the whole premise was born of a conversation, I believe, on one of the forums about a what-if scenario. And what happened with that was I asked Paul Hicks. Paul Hicks made a figure what he thought, British fascist would look like, and I gave him a call and said, if you make another 3 of those, I'll put them in a mold for you. You can have some British fascists for your game. So we did that, and we put them out for sale. And normally, a pack of figures will take quite some time to break even once you take into account the sculpting costs, the molding costs, production. But these broke even within 2 weeks, and we were like, "Oh, okay. Well, there might be something in that." So Paul then went on a binge of making lots of very British Civil War figures, which ended up being one of our most successful ranges as Musketeer. And it's one we're kind of revisiting now. We're having Paul make some new figures for that exact range. So that's going to be a range that you're going to see more of from Footsore in the next few months.
He also did the Irish War of Independence as well. He
did, yeah. I kind of forget that one because it's a fairly small range, and it kind of blends in with the very British Civil War because people buy it for that. So we do the, controversially some might say, but we do IRA and we do Black and Tans, but they're immensely popular, which is kind of out of all proportion from what I expected them to be. So there must be something in it.
Yeah, but this is the 1922 Irish War of Independence. This isn't sort of 70s and 80s.
No, it's not. No, this is the one. Yeah, back in the early days. The turn of the century. Yeah, it's not the later ones. Bit too close to home, that one.
There you go, Mike. Now you know what's happened to the Great North War figures.
Yeah, I was after some of those.
Well, I actually put some aside for you because I knew you wanted.
Ah.
I've actually even got some painted ones for you.
Ooh. Does that mean I have to travel over to America to pick them up?
Yes, you do. Yeah, you have to pick them up in person. Yeah. Well, you were toying with the idea.
I was, yeah.
Oh, the hardship.
I'll you can come over. I'll let you shoot guns, real ones. You'd like that.
I might hurt myself.
That's quite possible. But we could video it and put it out on Meeples. It'd be funny.
It'd get a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
As with my foot.
it's one of those things that go viral and make Meeples like treble its audience overnight.
Especially if I'm wearing a bikini.
Yes.
Oh
Well,
no! Oh,
That was a given.
Ew.
is this where we get back to the subject?
Yeah. Because people's minds are wandering now, and no one wants to go there.
Yeah, no, people are throwing up. So, I read a rumour that you're doing some work with Warlord.
Oh, we are, yeah.
Spill the beans then, Thornhill.
Let's spill the beans, yeah. Well, kind of going on from the Very British War subject. Warlord are releasing their supplement for bolt action, Operation Sea Lion, which is the invasion of Britain that never happened.
Have released, in fact. There were copies at the club on Monday.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I've not seen it yet, so I'm excited to grab a copy. So, to go with that, they've released a number of new packs of figures, and but to enhance it, what they did was they've taken some of our Very British Civil War packs, and they're going to be selling them through Warlord, their own site. They'll be kind of limited in number, but they'll fit in very nicely with that period because we do kind of British militia types for that era. Various different factions for the Very British Civil War that work nicely as LDV for the invasion of Britain. So if you've got some German Fallschirmjäger, then all that you need is some Dad's Army and British militia, and you're ready to go. So I think they're taking about 9 codes. It might be a few more than that, I'm not sure, but last I heard it was 9 codes from the British Civil War set. So you'll be able to see them if you subscribe to the Warlord newsletter.
I do Home Guard for Chain of Command, so I shall definitely be interested in those.
Ah, well.
Although I have to confess that I use the Foundry Home Guard.
Which are very nice.
They're lovely.
They are very nice, very nice. But they'll probably fit in quite nicely with them. They're kind of armed in different. We do a number of different packs for the Very British Civil War that'll work. We do a workers' militia. We do a general militia, which you guys would basically with civilian clothes on, but with webbing and a tin hat and an Enfield. The workers' militia are a bit more raggedy. They've got mostly civilian clothes on and hodgepodge of weapons.
But as a local defence volunteers, extra platoon for extra squad support for Chain of Command or whatever, they're perfect, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. They fit very nicely in for anyone who wants to put a kind of ad hoc force together.
Oh dear, I may have to buy some.
Oh dear. Okay.
Tragedy. I also probably ought to get the Fallschirmjäger painted as well. But hey.
So yeah, that was quite exciting. Working with Warlord. We also work with Warlord over here. I'm the official stockist for Warlord games over here at the shows. So we've been working with Warlord now for a couple of years doing that. So we have a good working relation with them.
Yeah, I'm just looking for your the ranges you've got available, and there's another one which is missing, which is World War One Russians.
Oh yes, sorry, they've got the Wee Wolf miniatures as well. I forgot about that. Yes, Wee Wolf miniatures took them as well. What we're trying to do is streamline the ranges we have, and we kind of the direction we want to go with ranges. They were kind of stuck out in the middle of nowhere. The sculpting styles between myself and Paul are slightly different. So the Russians don't really match with the BEF. Not that you pitch them against the BEF anyway, but we'd rather one style for each period if we can help it. So that was part of the reason for them going to Wee Wolf as well.
Okay. Are you thinking of staying with the Dark Ages as you move forward now, or are you trying to progress a bit more on the early 20th century?
You know me well enough, Mike, that I'm not going to stay in any one period. I think that was a leading question, wasn't it?
No.
For the foreseeable future, I've got Dark Ages on the desk, probably until the end of the year. However, I'm also working on a very small World War II range, or I'm going to be, which I'm not going to tell you about yet until I've actually got some figures for it. But it's not a big one of the big armies. It's just a sideshow. But I just thought it'd be fun to do. Something that myself and my gaming buddy Ryan want to game, so we might as well put it out there at the same time. Like I say, the very British Civil War, we're determined to expand, and that's actually happening now. We've also got another range on the go, but I'm not allowed to tell you about that one either. Slightly later than the Dark Ages, and in between that and Napoleonics, let's say that. In fact, there's quite a few ranges in that period that I'd like to do. But, for the foreseeable future, it's going to be the Dark Ages. I've got gaps to fill in the existing ranges, and we've got the Vikings, so that should keep me busy for about the next 12 months.
That'd be good. It'd be good to see some Vikings come out, because you've been after doing those for years.
I have. I've been itching to do them, and it's kind of one of those things that I put off because so many people have got Vikings out there. But eventually, you get asked so many times, you think, "Oh, okay, well, at least someone will buy them when I make them." So, I made the first Viking about a month ago, maybe just a little bit longer, and we had him as a giveaway. And I was rather pleased. He came out just how I wanted him to come out, so I was kind of pleased with that. And I made another one yesterday, just because, even though I wasn't supposed to be doing, I was supposed to be doing picked archers at the moment. But I made a Viking yesterday just because I could. And I'm kind of fired up to do them. So I'm trying to get all my other stuff out of the way ASAP so I can really concentrate on the Vikings come summertime.
So what sort of style are you going to go for with the Vikings? You're going to go for the deep historical style or the more cinematic?
Full TV unhistorical Vikings with 16th century helmeted Saxons and God knows where they got that armour from and Gucci leatherwork and no, not at all.
Oh, but that would really suit your sculpting style.
See, you're all getting all excited then.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely not going down the cinematic route. I'm going to take them really Scandinavian and Eastern Scandinavia. I'm going to make it a fairly comprehensive range. It's going to encompass the Rus as well.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Because I read a great book called The Sea Wolves recently, or I didn't read it. I audio booked it because I don't read anymore because I don't have the time. But it was a great audio book, and it was a really good, interesting read into the origins of the Vikings and how they spread throughout Europe and their influences, and the tales of them in the Eastern Part, in Russia and the Ukraine was very interesting. So that's something I definitely want to incorporate. And of course, I want a pagan Rus army for my Cyber War band. So it was a done deal, really.
Is this not half the beauty of doing what you do? Is every so often you get to go, I've really wanted one of those. I'm just going to have to do it.
It is, but then you've also got a business to run.
Obviously, yeah, but and I assume it's very, very nice when it coincides.
It does, yeah. When it coincides, it's great because it gives you a lot of motivation to do it, and that can be a struggle for me sometimes, being at home on my own, living the life of a hermit. So,
how do you stay motivated then? Apart from that,
sorry, I just got to go mute a second.
Yeah. Oh, it's so predictable. Stop laughing. We all know what you're doing.
I figured I'd get that question into on the script as having potential comedy value.
I struggle with motivation sometimes. So when I do get a range like this, I get particularly fired up about it, and I really enjoy doing it. In the same way as the picks that we've just released, I couldn't wait to do them. So I really enjoyed working on those, and I'm still working on them now. And so that's something that I'll keep working through till they're done and dusted completely. And the Vikings will be the same, I think. But every now and again you have to take a break from this because it it really is the life of a hermit. And so what I do to balance that is I run a little photography business on the side as well, and that gets me out and I learn to talk to people again, and make eye contact, which is kind of useful. So that really is what I do for a kind of to keep myself motivated. Take breaks now and again, and do something different. I think that's one of the key things.
I suppose we shouldn't really mention the Gulams, should we?
Which ones? What's wrong with the Gulams? The Gulams are all done.
Yeah, it took you about 4 years to make the things.
Well, I didn't need them for the army. Yeah, that and going back to what you're saying, Mike, that's one of the downsides is, or it used to be, because I don't work like that anymore. But what would happen is I'd make the stuff I needed, and I have comfort in the fact that I believe the Perrys used to do the very same thing. I made stuff that specifically I needed. But now I don't. Now I have a comprehensive list of a range, and I work down it until it's all done, which is much better for myself and the customers, obviously. So people don't have to wait 4 years for certain cavalry.
Yeah.
Maybe just 2.
Yeah.
I'm much better.
So the Pictish arches you were working on today, how they going well?
They're going well, yeah. I'm doing 8 archers, and I'm going to do. I'm humming and hawing whether to do 4 crossbowmen or 8 crossbowmen. I like to give lots of variety in the packs I do. I love the aesthetics of wargaming. I'd quite happily just sit besides a really nice looking table with beautifully painted armies and drink beer all night than actually game sometimes, because I like the aesthetic. And going with that is one of the reasons why all the new ranges that I've released with Footsore have a huge variety of figures in their basic troop types. Pretty much everything has 16 basic infantry variants, and for half guard, things like that, they'll have at least 8. And then, some of the skirmish packs will have 8 to 12 different variants. So I like a unit to look different. The new picks we brought out, you could theoretically put over 30 odd figures in a unit, and they'd all be different, which is something I love when I look at a unit. I don't like the same figure over and over again if I can help it.
When it comes to plan out your ranges, do you look at what rules are out there and what's being played at the moment, or do you just go with what you think would be a good seller in six months to a year's time?
Well, I confess that I do it to the rules at the moment, or I have been doing. However, that doesn't always work out because rules come and go, as we all know. So I'm kind of veering back to having a set list that will cover pretty much any rules. I've been very saga orientated simply because I play a lot of saga. But I'm kind of veering back now because I'm also building some Hail Caesar armies. And I think it's something that we've talked about is possibly making our own set of rules sometime in the future. So I'm making a more comprehensive list now, more based on a kind of generic list, really, of what you'll definitely need in an army. So the Vikings will cover pretty much everything, not necessarily just what's in the Saga warbands.
I mean, what you were saying earlier about doing the Eastern Vikings would be quite interesting because there's not many people do Vikings from that period. People do, the standard Western Vikings, shall we say, and lots of people do the Russ. Yeah. But there was that period between the two when the Vikings were spreading towards the east before they went down into Russia or down into Ukraine and off to Byzantium. There was that sort of period which people have sort of missed. Yeah,
I think so. The thing with the Dark Ages is, one, it's called the Dark Ages for a reason. The information is pretty scant on a lot of the stuff, and a lot of it is, we just assume when we don't actually know. So as far as making figures goes, it really is. there's two schools of thought to it. One is that it's really difficult because we don't have that information. And the other side is it's great we don't have all that information because I've got a lot of artistic license now. So when it comes to making a range like the Eastern Vikings, really a lot of it will be guesswork. The only real difference is will be in armor style, so that your basic infantry won't look massively different. However, what I plan to do is make them. I like the idea of them being kind of all covered in furs and windswept and interesting. So I think that's probably what's going to make them stand out. They'll look as though they're trudging through the snows of winter, to make them look a bit more interesting. But it really is a kind of the direction I want to make them look. I don't want them to make them look like everyone else's Vikings. So I'm going to try and make them look a little bit more, I don't know, gritty, if that's the word.
Yeah, now that'll work. And I suppose lots of big beards.
Lots of beards. Not necessarily big beards. The Vikings were fairly well groomed. They took particular care with their appearance. So we always assume that these big hairy monsters, but they actually kind of quite vain about their appearance in a lot of ways. One of the most discovered things in any Viking burial is combs.
Yeah.
They always find combs, so they were big into manscaping. Is that a word? I don't know, but yeah, they'll be suitably hairy, but we'll try not to let it get out of control. We don't want dwarf berserkers, do we?
Oh, I'm sure Neil will buy some dwarf berserkers off you.
Yeah, I'd buy that for $1.
Well, we'll see. There might be one or two.
That is the point, isn't it? It's with all your Dark Ages ranges, it's making them stand out from what everybody else is doing, isn't it? It's well, I suppose that's it. Well, it doesn't matter what figure range it is. Mm. It's it is that thing of, okay, what will make somebody buy your miniature range as opposed to buying somebody else's miniature range when you have the fact that, okay, you are selling Picts, Arthurians, or what have you, the same as somebody else.
Yeah, it's a challenge for all manufacturers now, I think. The market is so well covered as far as ranges goes. I mean, when I think back to the 80s and you'd be sat there with a typed out list from a company and you had no idea what you were buying, and but they happen to have that one figure that you need. That it sounds like caveman days, but now when we look at the internet, I mean, it's covered with almost everything that you could want, barring the odd vague period. But I'm sure they'll be done, at some point. So for every manufacturer now, the challenge is to produce a product that will look better than the oppositions, I suppose, or the competition, I should say. And that really comes down to people like myself and what we produce. It's a tricky challenge, but it's one I enjoy. I must admit, I like to think of ways that I can make things look different from what else is out there.
So I mean, you just preempted the question. Is like, okay, so how do you do
it? I don't know, if I'm honest. I think a lot of it is artistic license. I think I try and create figures that are easy to paint, because gone are the days that I'll spend 3 hours on a figure. So I make figures now that are easy to paint. So if something doesn't need to be on there, I won't put it on there. So I could easily make figures that are festooned with, necklaces and torques and, a couple of different belt purses and another knife and, all the kind of stuff you could put on a figure, which is great. And maybe for like character figures, I'll do that. But for the rank and file figures where people are going to be painting 20 or 30 figures in a unit, most of us don't have the time to spend on all that detail. So what I try and do is simplify the figures. One, as to what they're actually, what's actually on the figures. But two, also with the sculpting, I try and make it so I give them raised detail that will catch the paint easily, or if you're going to apply washes, it'll sink down into the, into the relief that I create on the figure, on its clothes or on its face or whatever. So I think that's one of the things I try and do is make them easy to paint. People and a lot of people have said that they find them easy to paint, so I must be doing something wrong. It's one of my bugbears is I find some beautiful figures, but I just don't have the time to sit there and spend 3 hours on them, sadly. I wish I did. Some of the stuff that's coming out of Russia at the moment is absolutely beautiful. I think is it B&V Miniatures? They're beautiful Vikings and Saxons. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous, but I couldn't spend the time on them painted personally. This is me personally, but they are just beautiful figures. There's no doubt about it. He says selling himself out, but they are. I mean, there are some just very, very talented people, much more talented than I am out there, and it's always that's part of the challenge is to keep up with them. If we look back at figures that were produced in the 80s, they look very dated now, but at the time we all swooned over them, we all jumped for joy when they came out. But times change, techniques change, and styles change, just like everything else. And we're now in a part of the in a time in the hobby where you have 3D sculpts, and you have people making these beautiful resin figures, and part of the challenge is to keep up with those people. I get nagged that I should learn ZBrush and start doing 3D sculpting, but I just think it'd be quicker if I just made a figure in putty than it would be if I sat on a computer all day. So it's a trade-off. I don't know. We'll see. My wife's for me learning it, and I'm kind of resisting.
So I was going to say. So I mean, yes, yeah. As someone who's been brought up as a traditional sculptor, I suppose the whole 3D thing has its own particular challenges. Yeah.
I imagine it has. Yeah, I've been lucky enough to chat to a couple of 3D sculptors, and I've been promised by them that it's not that difficult. Once you get used to it and actually how the programs work, the actual sculpting is quite easy if you're already a sculptor. And I have seen some real evidence of a person's ability to create with it and the improvement it can make in their style. There's a jolly nice chap called Forrest who runs Knuckle Duster figures over here in the US.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know Forrest.
Oh yeah,
really nice. And I sat down with him a few Historicons ago, I think it was, and he took me through the basics of what he was using in 3D, and the difference between his hand sculpted stuff and his 3D sculpted stuff is light years. I mean, absolutely light years. His 3D sculpts are just beautiful, and it's hard to believe it's the same person sculpting them. But obviously, he's found that he works better and is much more technically skilled in 3D than he was, with just putty and a wax 5. So, I'm not going to say no, but I'm not in a rush to do it. Let's put it that way.
I sort of imagine you probably be quite good at it because you are one of these annoyingly talented people.
Well, yeah, but I'm also an annoyingly butterfly kind of person. And I struggle with concentration, which is kind of ironic considering the job I do. But sitting down and learning ZBrush to me is like just the worst thing in the world. The thought of it. But I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe I need to do it to find out whether it is as bad as I think it is. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, you are the only person that I know who can sculpt when you're really, really drunk.
I hope you still got that head.
I do. I'm actually looking at it now. I've just picked it up. Just to so for the listeners, a long time ago, Bill came over to mine for a dinner party.
Because Mike has dinner parties.
I used to. Yes. And Bill comes to dinner parties because he likes food.
Yes.
And we got very drunk, and somebody asked you if you could, how you sculpt. I think it was Jeff. And Bill picked up a pen, and we got some green stuff from my hobby room, and I can't remember what you actually sculpted it with. It might be the spoon or something stupid. But he just sat there.
I think it was a toothpick, I believe.
Yeah, it's a toothpick, yeah. And he sculpted his head on the end of a pen. And I'll take a picture of it, and I'll make sure it goes into the show notes. So this is what Bill can do when he's really drunk. And
which was head and shoulders of everything else I did.
Yeah, and we were very drunk.
Which is why I now have a drinking problem. Yeah, I remember that night well. Bless.
I don't.
I'm touched that you still kept it.
So then, Bill, how do people get hold of stuff from Footsore Miniatures?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. If you're in the UK, Europe, or the rest of or anywhere else bar America, basically, you can go to www.footsoreminiatures.co.uk, and you can get them directly from our workshop in the UK. And if you're in America or Canada, you can get them from www.footsoreminiatures.com, and they'll come directly from me, packed by my own fair hand. If you're at the shows in the UK, you can get them from Ainsley Castings. Andy covers pretty much all our ranges, I believe, and he takes them to pretty much all the major shows in the UK, so you can find them there. We're now starting to ship to various retail stores as well, so you can check out your local hobby store. We've got people in Spain, France, Italy, Germany, and soon a couple of stores over here in the US that are going to be stocking our stuff. So, yeah, that's the main way to get hold of it.
Brilliant stuff. Oh, cool. Well, yeah. So it's been great to chat. So thank you ever so much for coming on.
Thanks for inviting me. It's been a pleasure.
We'll have to make sure that next time you're in the country, it will be good to catch up in person.
It will be, yeah. I'll try not to get to something next year if I can, and no doubt we'll see you down there. I'll look for the hat. I saw the hat from the Partisan pictures. So.
Oh yes, my new hat. Yes, because yes,
I'll be looking for a hat, and if Mike's there, a belly.
If either Mike's there.
Oh, he's gone quiet. Don't be sulking up. Don't be sulking at me now.
Grey head over there.
It's not grey. It's steely white now. It's gone worse. Winter has come.
Yeah.
At that point, as we start degenerating into insults between friends, I think it's about time we brought this one to a graceful close.
Nothing we do is ever graceful.
Very true. So Bill, fantastic to speak to you. Wish you all the very best with what you're doing. We look forward to seeing these Vikings. I have to say, I mean, just looking at the stuff you've been producing recently. You always say that and you kind of think, oh, what, and you always think the person on the other end is suddenly going, what, do you think my previous stuff was rubbish? But no, I mean, just looking at the stuff you've been producing, and it's like, oh my word, this stuff is drop dead gorgeous. So thank you for what you're doing. It's been producing some fantastic stuff, as I say, especially your cavalry.
Thank you very much, Jim. Yeah, well, the picks in the Irish are on the work table at the moment, so they'll be coming along soon as well.
Yeah, looking forward to them. Really looking forward to those.
Yeah, and with the Vikings, I'm going to take a slightly different turn in the way I design them. So it'll be interesting to see what people think of those when they come out.
Brilliant. Well, it will be good to catch up again.
It will.
And in a year or so's time, and we will try and deflect Mr. Hobbs from turning around and saying, "Oh yeah, and what will have happened is that you're still waiting for your Vikings and you've gone off to sculpting with the Rangers or something."
Yes, I've now made clangers or something. Yeah, tempted.
Well, it's a small range.
It is a small range, yeah. Yeah, heavily armed clangers. I think it'd be a seller, personally.
You probably would.
Yes. Yes, at that point.
Super Dragon Berserkers.
All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the non-English people of our age are going, what?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I've
right.
lost my old American audience now.
So great to hear from you, and so all the very best for the next year or so,
Thank
and
you.
we hope to catch up with you soon.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thanks, Neil.
Cheers.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike.
Bye. Well, here we are. It's the end of another show. It's the end of another recording session. It's late at night yet again on a Meeples all-nighter recording. And since it's 5 to 11, we're going to get out of here really quick.
Never happened.
Bye.
Yeah, it will. Never, what do you mean never happen? So, all it remains to be said, thank you very much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Next week, on next week's show, okay, we're now back into, having been out to the UK Games Expo, etc., we're back into our schedule over the summer. We've got a few shows in the can, so we know a little bit about what's coming up in the next few weeks. But next week, we will be chatting to the man from the Ministry. It is indeed Craig Cartmel from the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare. And I must make sure I stress
right.
the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare.
Gentlemanly Warfare.
Because I keep getting it wrong, and then
And he keeps telling you what.
he keeps popping up on social media and telling me off for getting it wrong. Which, of course, he should do because because obviously it's part of his company. I keep saying, go and look at these guys, and they don't. Yes, it's something else. Yes, so the man from the Ministry of Gentlemanly Wargaming will be with us next time.
Warfare. Wargaming?
You see what I mean? It is warfare. The Ministry of the man from the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare will be with us next week, and that is going to be another long chat because Craig was brilliant to chat to, and we talked about all sorts of stuff as well as talking about his few bits and pieces. So yeah, long chat with Craig next week. So probably not quite so much from us.
Get your figures ready to paint, folks.
Indeed. Yeah. So all that's left to be said is thank you to those presenters who stayed awake to the very end of the show. Just about. So thank you to the Welsh Wizard.
Thank you, Neil, for having me on once again.
It's always a pleasure, mate. Thank you to Troubadour Without Cake, Mr. Whittaker.
You're welcome.
Thank you to Luffy for lasting most of the show with us. And thank you one and all for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next time, take care, happy gaming, and we will speak to you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Roll good dice.
Roll any dice. Play some cards.
Thank you for listening to the Meeples and Miniatures podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, why not share it with others by leaving us a review on iTunes? And if you have any comments or questions, you can always email the show. The address is info@meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. And you can also visit our webpage, where you'll find a complete episode archive, all the View from the Veranda podcasts, rules reviews, and our blog of hobby items and news, which is updated several times a week. This is also where you'll find the links to our presence on social media, and here you can follow us on Twitter or join our Facebook group. And finally, here you can also find details should you wish to support us by making a donation to the podcast. All this on the Meeples and Miniatures website, www.meeplesandminiatures.co.uk. The Meeples and Miniatures podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.